So you also had a question, we're the peas and we want to get to this question about trees.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to reword it for us, please?
Well, I
Or
was
word it again?
wondering on different occasions when I see trees being pruned, and Carol Ann's pretty on top of that with our trees. She clears out some of the dead branches and branches that cross over. And I'm wondering, how do the trees feel about this? I could see like getting your toenails clipped, that might be a welcome thing. On the other hand, it could be painful. I'm not sure.
Well, it's some of both. For the most part, um, okay, we're a combination of the peas and the trees talking. Mostly the trees, the consciousness of the trees. We are, for the most part, not always happy about being pruned. And the main reason is that it does hurt, but not in the way that you think of hurt from a human perspective. However, what we are more hurt about is the fact that most of you are not connected enough with us yet, or shall we say again, because you were once in your history, to know when we want to be pruned and how much and the right way, etc. So we think of, Karen's thinking of this example of Findhorn, for example. They know how to do that there. They connect with the elementals, they connect with the divas, the trees, the plants, consciousnesses, and we tell them. We say, for example, there was a story that this one read in one of her Findhorn books on one of the berry bushes, mulberry or some bush, that they were regularly thinning at Findhorn, and the diva came through a meditation to Dorothy and said, "We don't like you doing this, and we don't want you to do it anymore. Thank you very much. We understand why you think it's promoting growth and blossoms and all the rest of it, but it's not. And, we want you to do it this way." The time is coming when it's here now for some of you. When you connect with us, we will tell you, we will say, we don't want to be cut, or it's not the right time, or do it differently. But do know that it doesn't hurt us the way it would hurt you if you were, what's an example? Well, you can cut your hair and your toenails and you don't feel it. But if you cut your skin, for example, it doesn't hurt us the same way. But there is an energy that is lost when we lose a part of ourselves that is not beneficial to our overall growth and spiritual well-being.
Yeah. Well, help me out here a little, if you would, please. You mentioned when we connect with you, well, telepathically, I can think a thought, direct it towards a tree, saying, you're looking great, and I'd like to help you grow and develop as well as possible. But that always seems like a one-way conversation. I never get any information back saying, "Oh yeah, okay, a little nip here, a little." Is there some way you guys can almost present a manual or something that humans can follow to treat you guys better? I mean, we're in the dark here, stumbling around. Many of us are pretty well intended, but we don't have a clue.
We giggle at this, Peter, because it's such a you question. It's how can we put this? It's a matter of practice, like anything. It's a matter of raising your vibration, like so many things in the spiritual realm. It is a practice of patience this one here also feels somewhat the same way. She is, as you know, very connected to trees in particular, but she is often at a loss to get a lot of information back. I mean, she gets like a 1 or 2 liner thing back. But as far as a conversation, which is what she dearly would like to have, we would say to the both of you that neither one of you spend enough, we're going to use the word quality time and quantity. It's more at this point in your experience about quantity time being, you know, more minutes together than not, sitting under a tree or in a meditation to connect with us. It takes time and practice, and we would suggest, if you truly want to work on this more, to set aside a little more time. You don't have to do a lot more time, and work up to it, instead of walking by a tree and saying, you're looking great, and, you know, do you want to respond to my thoughts or my comments? To sit under it for 5 or 10 minutes and maybe not even expect anything, because sometimes your expectations can create disappointments.
Yes.
As humans, you like to have expectations about pretty much everything in your lives, and to be in the moment, as Abraham and Wayne Dyer and the likes teach, is to drop the expectations and to just see what happens.
Mm.
And that's very difficult to do, especially when you're coming from, for you, Peter, a corporate background, and when you're in your 3D, and for both of you, when you're in your 3D world, it's not easy to do. But as you move back and forth into 4, 5, and 3, and so forth, and move around, it will become, all these things will become easier and easier, and you won't have to spend as much time as you might now. And the intensity will be, it will be more intense without the same amount of work, shall we say, that needs to be put into it. But like anything, it's for now, you have to practice it and drop the expectation and just see what happens, and say, well, if I don't get anything, I mean, you might be surprised that something else might come to you. Another thought might come to you that has nothing to do with trees, but it wouldn't have come to you if you hadn't taken that moment to be thinking about us or anything else, you know, to be in the present.
Yeah. Well, we have trees in our backyard, and they've been good to us. We can spend more time with them. And one of the things that prompted me is that Carol Ann has worked on that garden for quite some time, and she regularly brings in an arborist, and trees get clipped. And yeah, I think she comes at a lot of things from the standpoint of aesthetics. I tend to be a little more functionally oriented. Yeah.
And,
well,
and we would like to say that comment of the trees have been good to us, and we thought right away vice versa, which is true in your comment about, you know, getting tended to. And we do appreciate the work that has gone into it. For you primarily, it's more energetic and functional, as you say. For her, it's more aesthetic and maybe visual. And so we are speaking for the plants, the grass, and everything in your yard and vicinity and even neighborhood. We are very appreciative of that, Peter, to both of you.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Yeah, we'll pay more attention to what we're doing in that regard. I think sometimes we do it quite mindlessly.
Yes, well, and again, that's a human endeavor, is to do things kind of mindlessly, which it gets us back to our point about being in the present and dropping your expectations. The other thing that we wanted to comment on while we're here is this caterpillar gypsy moth
Oh,
situation.
yeah. Yeah.
And okay, let us say that yes, has been some devastation as far as the eating of us by them. Everything in its own time. This the caterpillars have not been here for quite a few years, and it is cyclical for them, as is everything in nature. There is not. We feel a lot of you, especially in the media. Again, the dear media. We're being sarcastic here. You know, puts a lot onto, and the conservationists and so forth, puts a lot onto, oh, we got to get rid of these, and this is what you can do, and, you know, do this and that, and oh, this is terrible. And it's not really all that terrible. Yes, of course, some of us more than others, species of trees are being eaten. But as we say, it's all part of nature, and trees have a way of bouncing back and doing what they need to. And if some of us need to pass on from this, which isn't true for the vast majority of us, then that's what we would do. So it is not something that you all need to be, we would say, as concerned about as some of you are. Do what you can. The rains have helped to kind of wash some of them out of the trees. Some of them will return, and of course more will hatch, but we would say come even another month from now that it will be much better than, as far as numbers of caterpillars, than it is now.
I guess the forest fires are a little more dramatic and affect you a lot more.
Well, yes, and because of climate change, for a number of reasons, including humans, there are a lot more of them. But again, this is, you know, everything has consequences in nature, and it is cyclical. So between the two things, you know, you kind of get what you get, and you have to some extent, deal with what is happening and do what you can as a race to try and alleviate some of this drastic situations like forest fires and flooding and so forth. I mean, it will become more and more prevalent for a while, for, we would say, a fair while, number of years, as Ascension keeps rolling out. But it again is necessary. There is always a sense of clearing out the old, as they say, dealing with the old, for example, in relationships, moving on, and then a new door or window opens. And this is true for nature as well. And you are all part of nature. So that brings us to the other question about the rains and the general climate. The rains right now in your local area have been clearing out, a much needed clearing, both physically because it had been very dry. So the farmers and gardeners and general nature, of course, has been very happy with this rain. And they will continue to be happy about it if it even continues for another couple of weeks, which we don't feel it will. There is also a very definite sense, as this one has sensed, that it is, for where it is at the moment, a clearing of the old energies of the virus. And a lot of the climate that is happening around the world now, whether it be rains or whatever, is for that purpose. And so it is all good in the broader picture of things. to see it this way, and to, we would suggest, take it into your thoughts, your mind's eye, your meditations, your intentions and dream times, to encourage these energies to continue to do so, because it is indeed, as we said last time, as the P's or whoever said last week and recently, it is indeed a time of resetting for both humans, animals, and Gaia, and the climate is no exception, as are things like caterpillars and such. So be mindful of that. You can help us out, us as in nature, to keep that growing and going. And let's see how fast we can all move into a new era.
Mm-hmm. One last point on trees.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there have been many humans over the millennia who have cut down trees and made houses, and I made bookshelves and things like that. Is that part of why trees are here, to assist humans in constructing necessary things?
Yes, it
And
definitely is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, your way of, fortunately, we feel is starting to come to a close. Your way of dealing with, or wanting, or getting what you want has been literally slash and pay. And you pretty much all recognize, except for a few places in the world where there's still darkness about this, and profit and greed and so forth, you pretty much all are on the same page about realizing how devastating that has been. What you have not appreciated yet, because it is really not out in the mainstream, but there have been rumblings, shall we say, with the hidden book about trees, and David Suzuki and people like him have been wonderful in getting the word out, is how terribly, terribly critical the trees are, the tree nation is to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from the point of view of like obvious deforestation and what comes with that, and erosion and climate change and changing wind patterns, stronger winds and so forth. But there are things that you don't even have any conscious knowledge of yet, that we will hearken back to the times of old, as was mentioned earlier in this channeling, when you knew all this information and you honored the trees and you understood the role, the deeper, much deeper role that they play in your world, in your energy, in the energy that they lend to Gaia through their canopies, through their trunks, through their root systems, through their communication with each other, and through their root systems primarily, but also their canopies that literally reach across the oceans and around the globe. And you are just starting to get an inkling of the importance of that. And once you start to recognize that on a grander scale, there will be quite a massive shift, we feel, in how we are treated. Mm. So yes, to answer your original question, yes, we are here for your use. Now, with a lot of your new technology, we feel that we will not be needed the same for the building of your structures. You have alternative and sustainable types of technology and materials that you can use instead of wood. Our wood, of course, is natural, which a lot of these new technologies aren't necessarily. But, and we know that you appreciate, most of you appreciate the visual aesthetics to a beautiful piece of board that
Yes.
you finish your homes with, that you build your shelves with, etc. And we can lend a lot of, even in our dying and our usage this way, we can lend a lot of value and energy to your homes when we are used this way. There are so many other ways that we can and wish to be used that will be forthcoming as time goes on, and we can have conversations about that another time, which we would really love to do. But
Mhm.
we hope this answers your initial question for now.
Oh, yes, it's one of those answers that's probably going to open up more questions.
Yes,
But
indeed.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, and we want to thank you for inviting us in. We don't often talk as a collective to the collective of humans, even just two of you. And we do appreciate you listening and questioning and connecting with us, because this is one of the ways that we get our information and our knowledge out to you, and you can start to reclaim what you knew of old. And we might also add that anytime you do any, let's say, meditations or readings, or even having thoughts or interest in things like Atlantis, ancient Egypt, prehistory, like, when the Pleiadians were here and came to the planet, and the Egyptians, for example, thought of them as gods, and because they came from the sky and so forth. All those things are things that you are reclaiming and once knew from those times. So anytime that you have an interest or think of these things, it helps us to give you a nudge to help you to open up to the reclaiming of that power and that knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, and much to look forward to.
Yes, and from our point of view too, because it's this is indeed part of the ascension process, is it not? As to connecting to the all. It's not just about each other connecting to, you connecting to your neighbors and your loved ones and the animals and Gaia. It's about connecting to us, the elementals, the trees, the off-planet energies, the energies that are everywhere around you that you really don't know very much about yet.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, yes, as you were speaking, I feel more expansive.
Oh, nice. We're so glad you shared that. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, it's just that's probably the best term I can come up with. I just feel more expanded.
And
because,
we do. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We do feel that for you, and just talking about it, it's as we've just said, it's, even in thinking it and talking about it, it opens up your brain and your energetic vibration to more, to like, okay, I like this, give me more.
Yep, exactly.
And that's all good. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll have to capture this kind of information somehow.
Well, you've captured it so far on Zoom, so that's a great start.
Yeah, that's just a private conversation in a sense. And of course, one of the last things I want to do right now is write another book. But
well, we don't feel you need to do that through a book, at least not right at this point in time. But that's there's another question for another time, Peter. How else can you get it out there other than what you're currently doing with channelers?
Yeah.
There are lots of ways, some of which a lot of you have not even thought of yet.
I'm sure.
Anyway, we are the tree beings, and thank you. We are delighted to be here and to connect with you. We would love to come back into your consciousness and work with you two again and get some of this down on whatever way you wish to remember it by. And the peas, we are the peas too, and say thank you, and the elementals and the dragons and everybody that was here. We feel that this is probably enough for tonight, and we thank you for the connection and always love and blessings.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Blessings to you and much appreciated.